Our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of our program, Africa Today. Indeed, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry discussed the bilateral relations and regional developments with his counterparts from Djibouti, Tanzania, and Morocco. To shed more light, we are having the following report.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Sameh Shoukry discussed bilateral relations and regional developments with his counterparts from Djibouti, Tanzania, and Morocco. Shoukry met separately with the diplomats on the sidelines of the 19th summit of the Non-Allied Movement, taking place in the Ugandan capital of Kampala in the 19th and 20th of January. According to the Egyptian Foreign Ministry official statement, Shoukry and Djiboutian Minister of Foreign Affairs stressed the need to reach a ceasefire in Sudan. This would pave the way for the start of political process that puts an end to the suffering of the Sudanese people. Furthermore, both sides discussed recent developments in Somalia and its dangerous impacts on the regional stability, stressing the rejection of any attempts to violate the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Somalia and emphasizing the importance of working to preserve the unity of Somalia. They also agreed to continue close consultation and coordination regarding the regional developments in light of the close and historical ties that unite both countries with the Sudanese and Somalian people. Meanwhile, Shoukry and Tanzanian Minister of Foreign Affairs discussed ways to enhance bilateral relations as well as the latest developments regarding the Julius Nyerere Dam, which is being constructed by a consortium of Egyptian companies. In addition, the Foreign Minister and Moroccan Minister of Foreign Affairs discussed fostering bilateral relations and cooperation between Cairo and Rabat, as well as advancing the priorities of the NAM countries.
The Union for the African Journalists praised on Friday Egypt's continuous efforts to facilitate the delivery of the humanitarian aid through the Rafah border crossing to the Gaza Strip since the war began in the late of the last month of October. To shed more light, we are having the following report.
The Union for African Journalists praised the Egyptian continuous efforts to facilitate the delivery of humanitarian aid through the Rafah border crossing to the Gaza Strip since the war began in early October. In an official statement, it expressed optimism that an end to the Israeli aggression could be reached. The Union also expressed its deep gratitude to the Egyptian government for facilitating the entry of the journalist Wael Dahdouh into Egypt on his way to receive medical treatment in Qatar. Wael Dahdouh, the father of the late journalist Hamza Dahdouh, lost his wife, 2 children, and a grandchild in an Israeli airstrike aggression. Furthermore, the statement strongly condemned the Israeli occupation targeting killing of nearly 120 Palestinian journalists since the start of their brutal war in Gaza Strip, highlighting the journalists' steadfast and unwavering commitment to reporting events. The Union also lauded South Africa's compelling case before the International Court of Justice accusing Israel of committing genocide in its war on Gaza. The Union emphasized the courageous action taken by South Africa based on compelling evidence is a significant step towards holding Israel accountable for the crimes against the Palestinian people. The Union further commended South Africa for its steadfast commitment to the justice of the Palestinian cause and its unwavering support for the Palestinian people. 50 years ago, the Union for Africa Journalists was founded in Cairo to advance African press and to encourage journalists to participate in more open and constructive discussions across the entire continent.
And the United Nations said a record of 49.5 million people are expected to go hungry in the West and Central Africa next year due to the combination of conflict, climate change, and the high food prices. More details in the following story.
The United Nations said that a record 49.5 million people are expected to go hungry in West and Central Africa next year due to a combination of conflict, climate change, and high food prices. The figure is 4% higher than in 2023. In coastal countries, the number of people facing acute hunger is expected to reach 6.2 million in 2024, up 16% from this year, according to a new regional food security analysis released by the United Nations World Food Programme and other humanitarian agencies. More than 2 out of 3 households in West and Central Africa cannot afford healthy diets. The cost of a daily nutritious diet in the Central Sahel countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, is 110% higher than the daily minimum wage in the region. Sahel countries are facing terrorist attacks that has displaced some 4 million people from their homes and farms, according to the United Nations figures. The Democratic Republic of Congo also has multiple ongoing conflicts that have displaced nearly 7 million. The Sahel crisis has pushed people to seek refuge in neighboring coastal countries such as Ivory Coast, Togo, and Ghana, which is grappling with its worst economic crisis in a generation.
نحن لدينا مصير مشترك.
مصر تسلمت الرئاسة الدورية للاتحاد الإفريقي لعام 2019 وتتطلع كعادتها دوما للتعبير عن شواغل الشعوب الإفريقية الشقيقة الرامية لتحقيق الاستقرار والتقدم ودفع عجلة التنمية قدما. إذا كنتم ترغبون في تغيير وجه القارة الأفريقية، فالاتحاد الإفريقي كقيادة تستطيع أن تعمل وتدرس بشكل مركزي لمشروع عملاق لبناء بنية أساسية على مستوى القارة. أنا أتصور أن الأمن والاستقرار استثمار. إذا لم تستقر هذه القارة والأمن فيها بمعدلاته عالية، هذا الأمر سينعكس بالسلب علينا كلنا.
Welcome back, our dear viewers. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said Egypt will protect Somalia against any threat in what can be described as an indirect response to the recent Ethiopian move to assess the seaport of Somaliland. In order to shed more light on the visit by the Somali president yesterday to Egypt, Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, and of course President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received the visiting president and held a joint press conference yesterday. To shed more light on the issue, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Ambassador Saad Shalabi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Ambassador Shalabi, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Ambassador Shalabi, how did you see the statements yesterday by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi during the joint press conference with visiting Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud?
The press conference was very clear. It was a declaration from both presidents about the closeness of relations between the two countries and the support that Somalia is getting from the Egyptian government, and also the bilateral and multilateral relations that the President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud has pointed out, that Egypt is supporting Somalia in the international forums, and as you know that that Egypt and Somalia are members in the Arab League.
Yes.
And they are members in the NAM and of course the United Nations. So there is continued coordination between the two countries regarding the joint declaration of support from both heads of state.
Indeed. Also, the president rejected a deal that was signed earlier this month between Ethiopia and the breakaway region of Somaliland to give the landlocked Ethiopian access to its coast. What's your take on that, Ambassador Shalabi?
Yes, of course. As you know, Ethiopia tried many times because it's landlocked, tried to get a port on the Indian Ocean, and it failed. That is why it has gone behind the back of Somalia and went to Somaliland and signed a protocol that allows it 12 kilometers on the sea from Somaliland. And this is against international law and also against the sovereignty of the Somalian land, because Somaliland is not
Recognized.
Authorized to do this without the without the respect. It has to respect the sovereignty of Somalia.
Indeed.
That's why the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has joined the support or has supported the Somalia for its sovereignty over its borders, and has declared that there will be no interference in the internal affairs.
Yes.
There has to be respect to all the Somalia territories and the sovereignty of its state.
Indeed. Also, the president congratulated Somalia on eradicating terrorism, cancelling the debts, and lifting the ban on the arms and military equipment supply, saying that the talks with Somali counterpart covered the political, economic, and military cooperation. How do you view the situation now in Somalia, Ambassador Shalabi?
Of course, there was historical coordination between the two countries to fight terrorism. As you know, that Somalia has been suffering from terrorism of Al-Shabaab for many years, and there has been many training courses that was given to the Somalians against to combat terrorism.
Yes.
And of course, the political, economic, diplomatic relations, even the educational and the scientific, are very strong between the two countries. That is why in this visit there will be continuous support for expanding the relations between the two countries in all these fields.
So how far the bilateral ties were developed lately between both countries, Ambassador Shalabi, Egypt and Somalia?
Well, Egypt is offering many scholarships from Azhar and from the Egyptian universities to Somali students in the college, and also for higher studies. And also the police academy and the army, the military academy is offering to Somalian students many offers for training for military, and also there is close security and military relations between the two countries.
Indeed. Actually, Egypt recently has focused its foreign policy to great extent on its African partners and African brothers. So how do you see here the great attention paid by Egypt, and especially its foreign policy regarding that issue, Ambassador Shalabi?
Well, as you know, we are both members in the African Union, and this issue of Ethiopian breach of international law and has been discussed in the last meeting of NAM and the African Union. And of course, Egypt is discussing with Somalia its joint position regarding the Renaissance Dam and because Somalia is also taking the same position of Egypt, that
Yes.
Egypt has to have its right for the water of the Nile, and the filling of the dam should be stopped by Ethiopia.
Yes.
And also the fact that Sudan is also an issue on the table, that Somalia and Egypt are helping Sudan in IGAD and in the Jeddah conference in order to stop the atrocities that are happening in Sudan. So many issues are on the table, and the two leaders are discussing, and they have joint positions on these issues.
Indeed. Ambassador Saad Shalabi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you so much for being our guest for today. Always a pleasure. Our dear viewers, so that we come to the end of this edition of our program Africa Today. Till tomorrow with another crew. I'm Haiti Rabia signing off. Many thanks for watching.